All right, we're following breaking news. This is a pursuit. This is in South Los Angeles, the 110 northbound. This is all thanks to our extreme nav technology up there. And it looks to be where the night sun is following that one vehicle there. I mean, it's pretty heavy traffic considering Friday night at just after 10 o'clock. So yeah, it looks like it is that dark colored, maybe sedan, looking to get some more information as to the want, what we know about the occupants inside. But this is one of those situations when, Phil, you have a lot of people on the road. It makes it more difficult, of course, to bring this to an end, especially when you're talking on the freeway, because usually they can do spike strips, but when there's this many cars out, they won't.
Yeah, so now we're talking about speeds 80, 90 miles per hour going north on the 110. I guess this will be heading into the downtown Los Angeles area in the express lane, just passing Gage Avenue there. Joining us on the phone now is former LAPD officer, city councilman and law enforcement expert who is a frequent guest with us when these things happen, Dennis Zine. Dennis, thanks for coming on. What are you seeing here?
Well, we see another Los Angeles pursuit, this time on the Harbor Freeway, and the speed is really not excessive. When you look at the flow of traffic, we've got considerable traffic. I don't know if something just let out on the freeway, but clearly in the 70s, I'd say 70 mile, well, they show 120, no way it's going 120 miles an hour. Probably in the 70 mile range. Then we see the continuing lane changes, splitting traffic, trying to get away. There's a unit close behind, obviously air units overhead, and they'll continue. I don't know what the pursuit generated.
Dennis, it's Marla here. It's a stolen vehicle, LAPD, the lead agency. And yes, the speeds are off right now. That's usually because the helicopter is doing its best to maneuver around, so it can get a little wonky. So forgive the speeds. Certainly not 120 miles per hour. Let's hope not anyway. But go ahead, Dennis. So it is a stolen vehicle. We're on the 110 now, express lane.
So we're in the 110. I believe we're going northbound on the 110. And that'll lead us into the Civic Center. So the units, the LAPD will request the higher patrol. It's on the freeway. Higher patrol will definitely join in. And normally they take responsibility when it's on the freeway. But it's a stolen vehicle. We don't know the particulars, where it was stolen from, et cetera. Or was it involved in another crime at that particular time? But they'll assess all that and get the units to make sure that there's proper discipline with the pursuit. They always have protocol when it comes to pursuits. And when it comes to the jurisdiction, while the freeway, obviously CHP, jurisdiction that started was Los Angeles Police Department, but there's a great cooperation between the two agencies, between the LAPD and the California Patrol. So as you see the movement, the continuing lane changes, fine, they break in traffic and then makes the split into the next lane. But what we have with the air unit overhead, that'll keep continuing track and broadcast. Basically what happens now is the unit, air unit will be broadcasting the pursuit information.
So Dennis,
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. You use that term protocols. What are the protocols?
Well, and now that we're, it looks like we're going to go back onto the highway and on the frontage road here. Or are we staying on the frontage road? Yeah, protocols are different when you're on surface streets versus the highways.
Well, absolutely. What you have on the freeway is no traffic, pedestrian traffic. You don't have bicycles. You don't have the continuing hazards. What you have is traffic, and if the traffic is heavy, it impedes that particular individual in a stolen vehicle from speeding. Now we see on surface streets where they'll have the condition of going through red lights. You got pedestrians, a lot of hazards on the surface streets compared to the freeway. So it becomes much more dangerous for the general public. And what the officers need to do is make sure they have a proper distance, but they don't create an environment that's going to be hazardous to pedestrian and other vehicles. If this individual decides to go through a red light, mid-phase red, broadsides a car, obviously they're going to look at the police and say, well, why didn't you terminate? And oftentimes when it gets to excessive speed, as we see with this, this watch commander will say, let's terminate this. It's getting too hazardous.
And is there a trend towards terminating them sooner than later?
Well, all particular. It just depends on the traffic, the time of the day, if the pedestrians, if you're near a venue and people are letting out and you got pedestrians. Everything's taken into consideration. If it's quiet, nothing on the road, then continue with the pursuit. But once it starts impeding the hazards of the people, and in fact, impacting the hazards of the people, the general public, that's when they say, well, it's time to terminate. And oftentimes they will. Obviously, if a supervisor gives that direction, they will terminate. But public safety is the number one concern, because when you have a pursuit, individual is injured or, God forbid, killed, then the city obviously has great liability, and we know the city financial situation's in bad shape as it is. So they want to err on the caution to make sure they don't create more liability and harm people. The police want to protect people and not harm people. But the individual who's stolen his car, who's in the stolen vehicle, we don't know what their record is like, what they've been in jail for, if they have been in jail, if they've been in prison, what they've done, what prompted them to steal this car, was it involved with another crime? All those factors come into play. But I think we're back on the freeway, if I'm not mistaken. It looks like we're back on the freeway again.
Yep, we're southbound on the 110 right now. And yeah, those speeds are about 100 miles per hour. And that makes sense. If traffic's flowing at 60, 70 miles per hour, this guy or woman is hauling right now. I mean, weaving dangerously in and out of these vehicles driven by people who have no idea that a pursuit is coming up behind them. We talk about this a lot. When you find yourself in this situation, you may not know it, but certainly do not get involved. Do not try to be the hero, because things could go terribly wrong and end up in a deadly situation. We hate to see that. We report on these pursuits all the time where it comes to a crashing end. And Dennis, when you have speeds this high, that could very well happen at any given moment.
Well, you can see the hazardous driving, but this individual obviously wants to flee, get away from the police, and what the police need to do is recognize the public. When you're on a freeway, you don't have the hazards you have on the surface street, but at the same time, you got people in cars, and those people are trying to get to their destination, and you don't want them to be involved in a collision. If this vehicle collides with someone at this speed, you're going to have some critical and oftentimes fatal injuries because of the impact of the vehicle. So all the particulars, was this car stolen with in condition with associated with a robbery, with a burglary, what the circumstances, we don't know. But we know that's a stolen vehicle, and obviously the fact that the individual's not complying and not pulling over and stopping, it just adds to the fact this is a stolen vehicle, and the perpetrator has maybe done this before and doesn't want to get caught, doesn't want to go back to jail or prison. But it puts the entire public on that freeway in great jeopardy in case something goes sideways in this particular situation. And they're all unique, they're all different, but sadly, sometimes they end in great tragedy for innocent people, and that's what we want to avoid, is the innocent people. We don't want this individual to get harmed. We want to take them in jail, put them in court, let the judge, the jury decide. But public safety is the number one concern, and that's what they're going to do. If they decide to terminate, they'll say the jeopardy is too great, terminate the pursuit, and they comply and they terminate.